And one of the
Um,
things I often hear from agents, well, it happened so fast. I met at an open house. I had to do this. I said, no, no, no. You can slow it down. You can slow it down.
yeah,
And it was your choice not to, because what happens is agents start seeing the commission
yeah,
and they start accelerating the process. But,
yeah.
but you missed so much by not having that meeting.
Today's episode is brought to you by my good friend Andy Bovender, the founder of the Bovender team out of the Carolinas. Him and his team have helped more than 5,000 families. So if you've had that client who's been thinking about making a move to or from the Carolinas, they are that team to call. Today's conversation is with Candy Miles-Crocker, and we explore many topics, mostly the mindset of closing more deals, working better with clients, moving into the luxury sector, and so much more. This is one of those episodes that I would highly encourage you to get a pen and pad and just take a ton of notes. There are so many golden nuggets just riddled throughout with Candy's advice. With that, if you're curious to learn more about the Inner Circle Group, the Inner Circle Group is a group comprised mostly of past guests and some members who are peppered across the US. In there, we talk about best practices, solutions for our business, and I would say the best part is we pass referrals. To learn more, scroll down to the description and click the link. And with that, I'm your host and referral partner out of San Francisco, Shawn Kunkler.
You just shared that when a client gives you the pushback of, I don't want to pay you what you're worth or what you're asking,
Right.
and your response is,
Right. You're not paying me to sell your house. You're paying me for all the experience that I bring to sell your house, because I've been through a lot. I've been through low appraisals. I've been through home inspections. I've been through price drops. I've been through market dips. You're, I have institutional knowledge, and now
yeah,
that you're paying for it. And it's the same like we were talking about a surgeon. My surgery might be minor, but without that
right,
experience, that minor surgery becomes major surgery. Because if you don't know what you're doing, it's going to mess everything up. Same with the real estate agent. If you don't know what you're
yeah,
doing, days on market will rack up, your house will sit, and the
it's
value
true.
will go down.
Yeah, and the worst part is clients don't even know.
Yeah.
Like they're just in it and they're like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. And they don't even know that there could have been a better alternative way to get them from A to Z in a much quicker path.
Yeah. It's partly, I always say that it's partly our fault as realtors, because
Hmm.
we haven't in the past we haven't done a great job of educating our clients, because
Yeah.
we want them to see the five-star restaurant, right? We don't want them to see the messy kitchen. And
Yeah.
what they don't see is where the work happens, right? They don't
So
hear
true.
the agent talk to the lender, talk to the other agent, talk to the inspectors, talk to all these different people in the background to make sure that settlement happens when it's supposed to happen and everything is smooth, right?
Yeah.
They don't see any of that. They just say, oh, yeah, I got an offer and we went to closing and everything was great, because good agents make this job look easy, but it is
Yeah.
far from easy.
You know, it's interesting that you share that. I worked with a client who was an FBI agent and he had a really easy, it was a easy and smooth close. And when I handed him the keys, he said to me, that was super easy. And he's like, but it was easy for me and I know it wasn't for you. Because I remember when we were talking when we first met, you mentioned that there's almost 150 different communications that are going to go out to all the different people to keep everything moving forward. And it was just such a cool like acknowledgement
Yes.
that his experience was good because of my work.
Yeah.
And to your point, we need to share that. Like
Yes.
we need to say that in advance. Like there's going to be a lot of communication. I'm going to be on the phone with the appraiser, with the lender, with the other agent, with escrow. I'm going to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing on your behalf every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I had that revelation many years ago when I had a client, a seller. I don't even know how they found me, but they found me. And she asked me to list everything I was going to do to get their house sold.
You're like, here's an
And,
encyclopedia.
right. And then I literally typed it out. right? I'm typing it out, and it was like, I don't know, 7 pages, single spaced, and it was organized, right? And when she read it over, she called me. She says, "We should be paying you a lot more." And I was, and that's when I first realized how much value I brought to the transaction
Yeah.
because I had to really go through that exercise of letting
Yeah.
someone know what I'm going to be doing every step of the way. And it
Yeah.
really makes you think about all the little things we do. And we kind of take it for granted. But to the untrained eye, it's like, wow, you do a lot. So I was like, yes, I do.
Yeah. We have, when I sit with sellers for the first time, we have a 107 step process that we go through to sell a property. It's our actual checklist. And then each item on the checklist has typically a few additional steps in there. So it's a pretty robust process that we go through. And then I always share with my clients, it's also not a linear path.
Right,
Like I have to know from experience that this thing connects to that thing, but can only happen if these three other things happen
right,
in a certain specific order.
right.
And when you start really breaking things down and to your point, it's just educating people, it really exponentially helps. And I feel it's a double-edged sword, the commission decoupling, the whole debacle that went down. I think the blessing in disguise is agents who represent buyers like myself is we had to really go back and now clearly articulate
Right,
this is my worth because this is what I do on your behalf for you.
right.
And within that, I was able to actually raise my percentage.
Absolutely. Because I've always found that finding the property, that's the easiest part of our job.
It's the clients are going to find it because they're scouring every morning. They're laying in bed. They check their emails. They check proper new listings.
Right.
They're going to find it before you. That's not our value.
Yeah, yeah. It's not because but I'm just saying that's the easy part because getting it to closing, that's where the real work comes in. That's where my experience comes in.
Hmm.
And that finding the house, I don't care
Yeah,
if I show you 25 houses, 30 houses, that's still easy.
yeah,
Getting that property to closing and managing all your expectations and all your drama.
yeah. True. I tell my clients, I'm like, the magic happens when we were in a highly competitive market in San Francisco. There was a stat somewhere that said the average buyer will write something like 5 to 7 offers before their actual offer gets accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran the stats on mine, and it was 1.5 offers is what my clients write. And so I would tell my clients that like mine statistically write fewer offers, and if we really collaborate, we work together, I will help you get all your ducks in a row
Right.
from the financial pieces, get underwritten, and we'll make I'm going to make that agent salivate when they see your offer because we're going to put it together that in such a tight way.
Yeah.
And, and B, when there's 7, 8, 9, 10 offers coming in,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to get someone to the front or
Yeah.
let's say into even the top three,
Mm-hmm.
let alone actually being the one that's accepted. And so that's an art. That's a value add.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Saves time, energy, money to be the
Frustration.
oh my gosh, on everybody's part.
Yeah.
But the key word you used there was collaborate. We have
Yeah.
to work together. You have to trust me and the experience that I bring
Yeah.
to follow my instructions, right? I
Mhm.
know how much your EMD should be. I know how much you should possibly escalate. I know if you should do a pre-inspection. Trust me on these things. These are all things that are gonna give you a help you move your offer to the forefront
Yeah.
versus just an also ran.
I had Lance Pendleton on the podcast, who's an amazing coach,
Hmm.
and he shared that you're a Sherpa. You're the guide taking them to the top of the mountain. And I'm like, oh, the way that feels is such a good way to say it.
Yeah.
We're taking care of their their food and their shelter and their housing, and we're actually showing them the path, and we
Hmm.
know how to read the snow in the mountains, and we
Right.
know when to stop. We know when the storm is rolling in. And those are all incredibly important things for survival.
Right.
And so I always really appreciated that
Sure.
comparison.
Yeah. Because that's what we do every single day. And it starts with that first buyer meeting.
Yeah.
And, as a manager, when transactions start going south, one of the first questions I ask is, did you have a buyer consult? And the answer is usually no.
Hey, friends, I have a small favor to ask. For me to continue to bring you outstanding guests who share their best kept secrets for growing a successful real estate business, please take a moment and hit that like button so agents like you can find this content. And also hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Now, back to our show. Holy crap. I mean, that's a great question. I'm interested and curious of why and how you discovered to ask that first.
Because I know how important, because the buyer consult is your opportunity to manage all the expectations. That's when you set the expectations. You
Yeah.
talk about what to expect from the transaction,
Yeah.
what you can expect from me as your agent, and what I expect from you as my client, right? So you lay everything out on the table. You talk about the
Yeah.
bumps in the road, you talk about what's needed, and then you can move forward. But if you don't manage those expectations from the very beginning, someone's going to be disappointed at the end of the day
That's
because
true.
their level of expectation is here and you only performed here because you didn't tell them what to expect.
Yeah. It, it's true.
Yeah, I every time. I tell you 100% of the time.
That's fascinating. That is fascinating. I mean, I guess it's not dissimilar from going into surgery and
Right.
then not knowing your recovery time, not knowing that you have to go to PT, not knowing that you need to keep your weight off of it for a while. It's like,
Yeah, because had I known all that, I would have made a different decision, perhaps, right?
yeah, or managed help,
Yeah,
or pulled in somebody else, or you would have,
yeah,
yeah, you make a great point. Like you would, as the recipient of this, you would have changed your way of doing things
right.
in advance. That is such a fascinating question and observation that you had made.
And one of the
Um,
things I often hear when from agents, well, it happened so fast. I met at an open house. I had to do this. I said, no, no, no. You can slow it down. You can slow it down.
yeah,
And it was your choice not to, because what happens is agents start seeing the commission
yeah,
and they start accelerating the process. But,
yeah.
but you miss so much by not having that meeting.
Equally so. Um, and it pains me to even admit this, but when working with close friends,
Oh,
I similarly would skip. I'm like, oh, they know me. I'll just skip over part of this process.
yeah,
And that has bit me in the ass
yeah. More times than you
so
can count.
hard.
Yeah,
It's and I after it did, and I was like, I'm never like everybody. If my mom called me and was like, hey, we're selling, great, you're going through this process.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
a non-debatable because, as I shared earlier, it's a 107-step listing process,
Yeah,
and I want to make sure that
yeah.
we're on the same page throughout this whole experience.
And here's the other thing. Even if they've worked with you several times before,
Yeah,
they never work with you in this market.
true.
And so this market could be different than the last market they were in. So they may think the process, but now things have changed. Standards of practice have changed. Maybe the
Yeah,
contract has changed. So now we still need to go over everything again.
yeah.
And I always used to say, humor me, but we're going to go through this again.
Yeah. It's funny that you say humor me. I would say my line is I'm sure I know we've gone over this before. You may have forgotten parts, so we're just gonna go over it anyways.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like kind of give them grace as to be like, oh, you might have
Yeah.
forgotten.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
our biggest challenge, the biggest challenge I have in this market is in California, we don't use attorneys. We
Right.
use like we write all of our contracts. And so within that, we stage all the properties. We do all the disclosures up front before we start marketing and showing the property. And
Hmm.
so the process, a cash sale, for example, I've closed in 5 days where they literally write an offer. 5 days later, they're receiving the keys.
Wow.
It's crazy, and it'll blow your hair back at how fast everything moves. And it's really, really hard for a client who's bought five, six, seven properties in a different market
Yeah.
to wrap their head around how crazy fast this experience can be.
Mm-hmm.
And so and to your point, everything could go sideways in 5 days. If you're not slowing down to go fast, if you're not educating and sharing, it can literally all just explode
Yeah.
in a moment.
Right.
It's
And,
pretty
and
wild.
conversely, if you're working with a buyer and it's taken them, they've lost numerous offers, right?
Uh,
And when they get that offer, because the process has been slow, maybe they haven't even found a house to write an offer on. And like, I'm never going to find my house, never going to find my house. And they're just kind of like going at a snail's pace. Once they do get an offer accepted, everything accelerates to such a pace. They're like, oh my gosh, I got to do what, when, what? And they're just like, it's just so fast because we have to get all of this stuff in at one time. And they've been so used to the slow pace that now that you're spread it up, 100 times over, they're not ready for that. And I think that's something that you talk about during your buyer consult is that
yeah.
things are gonna speed up and you're gonna have to provide, things to the lender and to myself at a very rapid pace.
Have you been completely neglecting your newsletter, social media, or any of your outbound marketing? If so, I have a solution for you. With little to no commitment, a virtual assistant can jump in and help you in those areas you just don't have the time for. For more information about hiring a virtual assistant, go ahead and follow the link in the description below. Yeah, a really great rule. And I wish I could remember the agent. But the rule that we have in house is if the question comes up more than once and a question is ultimately a concern,
Mhm.
then we need to preemptively get in front of that question. And so we all know lenders always ask for one more document.
Right.
It's like I don't care if they've asked for 58 documents or 2,000. They're always going to need. Oh, we just need this one more document.
Mhm.
And so I tell my clients that right up front. I'm like, lenders are going to always ask you for one more. Be prepared,
Yeah.
and just that's part of the experience. And so then they don't contact me and freak out. But there's an agent, and I really wish I could remember her name. What she does is then makes a video about it in a blog.
Love that.
Brilliant marketing. And now she has something to put on her website,
Mhm.
something to leverage on social media.
Mhm.
It's a great educational tool. She doesn't have to remake it. She can just say, hey, when we go into the lending process, watch this 30-second video.
Right. Right.
Done. It's,
Done.
it's
There's
brilliant.
always there's always, there's always going to be one more document. Always.
It's so painful.
Always.
From having purchased myself, it's
It is. I know.
painful. Hey, just, we're closing in 2 days. We just need this one more document. And you're like, really? Really? Like you couldn't
Or didn't
get.
I send that to you last week? But that's part for the course. And again, for me, that is part of the buyer consult because anything you say in the buyer consult, when you're in the transaction, you can always refer back and say, remember at the buyer consult. Now they're not going to remember, but at least you can refer
Yeah.
back to it that we did go over this. And I had a whole 5 sheets on bumps in the road, right? These are things I said, if an agent has one smooth transaction a year, they're doing something right?
Yeah.
Because every transaction has a bump. And so I had it broken out by the home inspector, the appraisal, the listing agent, the the uh, themselves, myself,
Mm,
the settlement company, the title, all these things that could go wrong in a transaction. I just
yeah.
listed it out. And I said, but I'm here to navigate you through all those bumps in the road. And together
Yeah.
we will make it to closing because it's not a sign that you shouldn't buy this house. It's just a bump in the road.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is also a great point.
yeah, and same for home
It's not a
inspections. It's like
sign.
it's not a sign because everybody says, "Oh, it's a sign I shouldn't buy it." Or like a home inspection. Here are the 8 typical things we see at a home inspection.
Yeah.
HVAC it needs this. The grading is poor. The downspouts are this. But whatever those things are, tell them up front.
Yeah.
These are typical. So when you're at the home inspection, it's like remember, well, this is typical. This is
Yeah.
nothing new. This is nothing new.
It's so funny. I tell my clients with inspections, I always tell them, listen, it's not the job of the inspector to tell you which part of the house is awesome and great and that they love.
Hmm.
They're only going to tell you the bad stuff. So
Yeah,
don't go into it expecting to see anything positive. You're only going to see negative. And just because it's a negative, it doesn't mean the house is falling down.
right.
We can talk about that, or we can explore questions with that inspector. And I find just saying that it frees people up because I've seen the
Hmm.
cleanest of clean reports and the clients are melting down
Yes.
thinking that the property is literally going to fall down,
Don't
and
fall
I'm
down.
like,
Yeah,
it's not.
it's not.
It's we can explore these questions with it, but it's like this is less than normal.
Exactly, exactly. Again, it's all about managing those expectations. And one of my favorite lines used to be, the purpose of the home inspection. Oh, I said the seller is under no obligations to make any repairs. I said the
Correct.
purpose of the
Yeah.
inspection is for you to prioritize future repairs.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. And that line right there always made it a little bit smoother. Unless, of course, you get the inspector who's like the code inspector, then they just freak everybody out.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you can manage those expectations.
Yeah, it's I love this aspect of the conversation. I think it's as an agent, one, you have to have the experience or work with an agent, a team lead who has these experiences to so you can basically expedite your learning curve. Um, but within that, be extremely observant and look for these moments when clients get nervous or they start asking questions. And especially, again, if it's the same question coming up more than once, you can preemptively get in front of it. In psychology, I think it's more like hypnosis. There's a term called pre-framing, reframing, and deframing,
Hmm.
and it's basically setting expectations. So pre is you're setting up an expectation before it happens. Re is you're giving them a new piece of information so they can look at the same thing in a new way. And then D is you're basically deconstructing that whole thing that they then think. And so you can kind of use them where you see fit, but the bulk of the time when I use them, I use the pre. And so I'm setting I'm setting the stage as to how the thing will be perceived before they actually set their eyes on it. So
Hmm.
when they do, they're seeing it through the lens
Right.
of this perspective.
Hmm.
And I find that just it helps exponentially,
Absolutely.
just across the board. And so and you can see the if you listen to people's tone and tonality and body posture, you can literally see them relax
Yes.
when
Yes.
it makes sense. Or
Yes.
you listen to the words they're using.
Hmm.
Um,
or you can see them tense up. You can just see, and then you know what to say to kind of
yeah,
alleviate some of that tension.
100%. And I think even when you see that, just ask. It
Yes.
it seems like there's something that's
Yeah.
escalating your stress. Like,
Hmm.
would you mind saying more or sharing with me? And just be human. Get on their same page.
Yeah. Yeah. And there have been times when, my clients have been thinking that the home inspection is going well, and I'm like, this house is a train wreck, right? And I literally have stopped two inspections and say, and I turned to my buyer and I said, you can't buy this house. I said, you can't buy this house because I have to sleep at night.
Yeah,
I said, this is what we can see. Imagine what we can't see. So
yeah.
you can't buy it. I mean, there was one house that was literally had a waterfall in the kitchen on the kitchen wall. I'm like, there's water. There's what do you no, you can't buy this.
It's I've straight up it's so funny. I've told people that too. Like
Yeah.
I would always tell them, I'm like, listen, if you were my sister and she was considering buying this property, I would do everything I can to talk her out of it. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I
Yeah.
can list the reasons why this house is going to be such a financial nightmare
A
for you.
money pit.
100%. And you're like, the electricals like needs to be updated, the plumbing needs to be updated, the foundation is broken over here. You're gonna need a structural engineer to come look at
Yeah,
this thing. And
yeah,
yeah, you're literally you're better off just shoveling money into a fireplace. It, Lindsay Nurin, who's out of Texas, I love what she says. I don't want to sell this in a few years when you decide to buy it.
that part. Yeah, yeah. That's another thing I use. I say, I'm looking at this at the resale. So if I'm telling you now,
Yeah,
here are things that are going to be problematic.
yeah,
If you have to sell this in 2 years for whatever reason, we have to find a buyer just like you who doesn't care about this, and this.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's, you know, guiding a client to make a, at the end of the day, this is an investment. And
Yes.
so guiding them to make a strong investment decision, I feel is that it's genuinely at the core, and helping them understand
Mhm.
that sure you can do these capital improvements, but you're not
Right.
going to it's not going to impact the net proceeds at the end of this if you
Yeah.
decide to sell in 3, 4, 5 years from now,
Yeah.
and
And a
just
lot of
helping
times
them
people get
understand that.
exhausted with the process.
Yeah,
They have to move really quickly and they get emotional about it. And in my opinion,
yeah,
as an agent, I'm the voice of reason. I'm just here to make sure that you see things. You don't have to take my advice, but I'm going to point it out,
yeah,
right? Just so you know. And so if you do nothing with that information, fine by me.
yeah.
But I'm going to be able to sleep at night knowing that I've told you X, Y, and Z about this property.
It's funny. I tell my clients, I'm sharing all my secrets, but usually one of the first meetings I will tell my clients is, look, I'm going to be upfront and honest with you, and I'm going to tell you things that you don't necessarily want to hear, but it's going to be important for your process. You don't have to take my advisement, but I'm going to share it with you. And if that's not the type of agent you are looking for, then I'm not the person you want to hire.
Absolutely.
And usually at that point, they're like, no, 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 no. We want you to be honest with you. I'm like, okay, just remember this because when that moment comes up, I'm going to refer back to this. And they're like, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
And, and I think too, it gives us a, a genuinely different connection with my client,
Hmm.
because the other thing I will usually stack onto that is I have found the clients that have the lowest levels of stress during the experience are the ones that them and I have very open lines of communication.
Hmm.
We are talking candidly with each other, and these conversations are confidential, so they're not going outside of us. And I find when I set the stage that way, people will tend to share deeper things with me, and it'll help me enter the world. And so then it helps me identify, okay, you said these three things that you're really looking for in a home, and this one has one of those three things. Let's, you can do whatever you want with that, but I just wanted to kind of bring that back to light.
Right.
And usually it gets them to at least think about it, or if it's a couple, they'll have a conversation with each other. And I've had people come back and say, hey, you're right.
Hmm.
Like we got caught up in the moment, and
We
this
got
this
emotional.
idea,
Yeah.
the emotion,
Hmm.
and then they kind of pull back.
Hmm.
And I'm so curious about you because you manage currently over 400 agents, which is insane. Hats off. I don't know how you sleep at night. That's a lot of people running in a lot of different directions. What are some of the other I'm curious of just your experience and knowledge is like, what are some of the other patterns that you're seeing that either agents are doing really well or things that are getting them into trouble?
The it's close to 400, not over 400, but close to 400. Still a lot, but
It's still a lot. Let's not, well, that's still like, I mean, that's a lot of humans, a lot of
it's a
personalities.
lot. It's a lot of personalities. But I am blessed that I have really, really stellar top tier agents. And
Amazing.
they make mistakes here and there, like they're human. But I find that the most mistakes are when they're rushing and or they do things late at night. I always try to get them to do things during the day, especially but my market still has some multiple offers and don't review them
Mm,
at night. You make mistakes at night.
yeah.
And just making sure that they treat all the clients the same. Um, have systems in place where you know your process. Because with a lot of agents, you get a lot of legal and complaints and all of that kind of things from the different associations. But
Mm,
I find that it comes when they're rushing, or they don't put things in writing, they don't document certain things, and sellers, buyers make assumptions on things that aren't necessarily true, but
mm.
it's their reality. And so I just make sure I try to impress upon my agents to document phone calls, put it in a text, put it in an email saying per our discussion, just so everybody's on the same page, that have the same level of understanding as to
Yeah.
what the next steps are or what the procedure is. And that's the main thing. It's like rushing and not doing those types of things.
That's interesting that you say that because I remember one of the very, very first legal meetings I was in is it's literally the same thing. They said the same thing, and I'm in a completely different market on the
Uh-huh.
other side of the U.S. And it was basically just oversight. Is somebody made a mistake?
Yeah.
Is as
Yeah.
plain as day, and that's and so slowing down. Yeah, it's interesting from being in the active sales seat. I tell my clients, no good negotiations happen after 8 o'clock. Like
Nope.
it just falls apart.
Yeah.
And to your point, I've seen so many stupid mistakes. We actually have, this is so stupid in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we have a purchase agreement that comes from the San Francisco Association of Realtors. And then if you counter, you have to scroll down to the bottom of the page and there's a little box that you have to check that says subject to attached counter.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. That's happened a lot.
I'm sure.
That people just, to your point, they rush, rush, rush. They miss checking the box, and now you have a snafu
Yeah.
because technically you have a signed contract,
Oh, yes.
and
Yes.
now
A
you're
binding contract
in a
at the
and
wrong
now
price
you're in a poop storm.
with the wrong price,
Yes, in wrong, yeah, wrong terms,
wrong
wrong,
terms.
wrong.
Yes, we've had that as well, and ours is in a box, but with our escalation clause. Well, here, let me go back. So we have Washington D.C., we have Maryland, and we have Virginia. So we have
Oof.
three different contracts, three different sets of addenda, three different home inspections, three different appraisals, all of that. So if you, and most of my agents are licensed in all three. So you have to take off your DC hat to work in Virginia and vice versa, right? And if you're used to working with a certain contract, to your point, when you go to another jurisdiction, they're different.
They're Yeah, we have in California, big place. There's a California Association contract, and
Mm-hmm,
then in San Francisco, which is only 7 by 7 miles, it's a tiny city.
mm-hmm,
We
mm-hmm.
have our own different contract, and there is an amendment to make a car into a California one into a San Francisco one, but it's super confusing. And this is on a total side note. I don't understand why we don't just have like a national one with addendums for
Mm,
specific towns. Like it would just make everybody's life
so much easier.
so much easier if we all at least just started from like a similar base.
Mm-hmm.
Just from a buyer's perspective who's
Yeah,
bought in multiple states, it would make their life easier. And that's, if you just look at the consumer side, that's the person we're always trying to make their life we're trying to make the buyer and seller's life easier.
Yeah, that'd be
Could
very
make it
cool.
easier.
Well, I have to say, I have my California license as well,
Do
and
you?
I do. And I have to say, they don't have reciprocity. California, being a California native, California makes it hard for every license you ever get.
they, they make
Drivers,
everything hard.
lawyers, everything is like the hardest it can possibly be.
Yeah.
And the real
Yeah.
estate license was no exception. It was over 100 hours of coursework, right?
Yeah.
I have been selling real estate over 20 years. And the first course I took for my license in California almost took me out. I was like, this separates the man from the boys right here because it was crazy the amount of information the realtors in California have to know.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Well,
investor from Colorado coming in, I was like, what the heck?
I mean, we deal with contracts, no attorneys, and so a
Yeah,
lot rides
same
on the.
here. That's what we do too.
And some of the agents, I mean, you said it was hard, but some of them are. I mean, 50% of everybody finishes in the bottom half of the class.
Oh, okay, there you go. There you go.
But I
Yeah,
also will say, California, and I'm stealing this from somebody else, but California is like a basketball game with more referees on the court than players.
I believe it. I
Like
believe.
that's everything is just so crazy way over policed that
Oh
I
my.
don't know how
I mean, taking the
anything.
exam, it was like I had to do a strip search. They were like searching my glasses, my watch, I had to, put my sleeves up. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are y'all doing out here?
Yeah, I had to when I tested, they actually give you a locker. So I had to
Yes.
take my watch
Yeah.
off. I had like everything like jewelry had to come off, everything had to empty out of your pockets, your phone had to go away. To your point, you had to roll up your sleeves
Hmm.
before you went. I was like, gee, what is this? Am I like,
Right.
this is bonkers,
I'm
man.
like, what's happening out here? In DC and Maryland, Virginia, I had to do none of that. I just went in and took the test. But
Really?
yeah,
We're clearly very untrustworthy
I
around
know
here.
very. I said there's some shenanigans happening out there. I don't know what you all are doing out there.
I don't know what's happening out here either. It's like I don't agree with 90% of what's happening out here. It's a
Yeah, but
little,
we're a non-lawyer state also. So that's the other thing that we have to constantly tell our agents, you're not attorneys. Do not write legal language,
yeah.
right? And so make sure you talk to the title company or attorney to get the language because agents like, oh, I wrote this language. No, 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 no. You don't write legal language. You don't write legal language.
That's
Have them.
interesting. We write in we write in things.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, like
you
if
write
we
in things
write
like if settlement does not occur by this date, then this happens. You do that?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, like if I do an addendum that yeah, yeah,
wow.
we basically have to write it up. I usually still I'll have my manager just double check it.
Yeah.
But usually what I like there's a little mini formula that
Mm-hmm.
you use,
Mm-hmm.
like the who, what, when, where, and
Mm-hmm.
you just make sure it's all like dialed tight. But usually I just steal language directly from the contracts and then just change the
Okay.
words to
Okay.
mean. So I'm
Okay.
not like,
But then I would still run it by an attorney, and that
yeah,
way I can say I didn't write it. I had it checked by this attorney, and that way, again,
exactly.
I as a manager, I'm under risk management. I'm like, we got to manage the
Yeah.
risk. And
Yeah,
so,
and the amazing thing with our brokerage is there's you can actually talk to attorneys. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
you can go to
exactly.
a manager and if it's outside of their depth, they call in the attorney and the attorney will look it over and you can make sure
Right.
what your concern is hedged.
And then you put
Um,
that in writing that that they approve the language. So
yeah,
again, you have everything in writing. But there's certain phrases that are used constantly that you don't have to run those by as often. But
yeah, yeah,
sometimes a tricky situation, you're like, run that by the attorney. Make sure you have your if then statement because when agents I see when they write language, there's no if then statement. You know, settlement is to occur
yeah.
on or before this date. Well, what if it doesn't?
Right.
Right. So you have to always put that kind of information in there in that language. So.
Yeah, that's why you just have you run it by somebody else. I even had my manager, Sally, um, when I started. I absolutely adored her. She was amazing and was just so incredibly helpful. But I would have her literally look over all my contracts
Hmm.
before I had sent, and then I would talk to her and ask
As
questions
you
and
should.
just make sure that it's dialed. But I mean, goodness, at this point, I've read the contracts so much that if a client calls and they're like, "Oh, it says X, Y, and Z," I'm like, "Oh, that's item 19. It also says X, Y, and Z," and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Hmm. That's the other thing I always get when, agents call me when they want to hear a different answer than the contract says. So they'll say, "This is the situation," and my first question is, "What? What does the contract say?"
Yeah,
But the contract says that. I'm like, "Well, there's your answer. I don't go against the contract."
yeah,
But they typically know the answer. But so to your point, when I manage all of these people, when they call, it's usually pretty simple to resolve
yeah,
because they just want a different answer, and I don't have it for them. So it's a quick
yeah.
phone call. I was like, I know you want to hear this, but that's not the case. And we kind of laugh. We're like, okay, I didn't think so, but can't blame a girl for trying.
I mean, I think at the end of it, salespeople are probably the most creative people in the world.
They are.
We're always looking for that little
Angle.
something.
That
We're
angle.
always looking for it. I mean, especially if you've done sales outside of real
Oh my
estate,
gosh, yes.
you're constantly like you can't
Angle,
hear no.
spinning.
No doesn't exist. You have
No.
to look for
No is
you
no for now.
for now.
For now. Right.
I always hear maybe, and then I'm like, okay, what is it going to take to get you?
Exactly. And we push and we push and we push and we push.
It's so true. Yeah, that's a, like that. I think so. I've been in sales for pretty much my whole working life.
Mm-hmm.
In that psychology, the chess game
Yeah.
is I feel like the thing that's always kept me in it and
Yeah.
kept me engaged because every person is different,
Yes.
every conversation is nuanced, and you're just constantly looking for you're trying to figure it out. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's this ever evolving thing that's happening in real time and you just
Yes.
have to be quick
Yeah.
and look for the ways.
Yeah. And that's one thing I love about real estate. Coming from a radio background, you have a print background. The people you
Yeah.
met in radio were in radio, right? It was like, okay, you're an ad agency or a radio. And in real estate, you meet everybody. And that's why I
Yeah.
stress upon my agents, you need to know a lot about, need to know a lot of things, a little bit of things about a lot of topics, right?
Yes.
Because you're going to meet people that do amazing. I met a woman who she sanitized the space capsule once it came back to Earth. I'm like, what? That's a job, right? Like, how? What? Because he did
Yeah.
decontaminate it. It's like, okay, but you have to learn a lot of little things to connect with people. And
Agreed.
the more that you know about this, and this, when you meet somebody, you could talk about that area that they're talking about. Oh, I read that about X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, then you're well versed. Now you may not know any more than what you just said, but you gave them enough to make that connection. And to me, that's what this business is all about. It's about those making those connections and making those
Yeah.
relationships and establishing trust, and that's what makes it so much fun because you
Yeah.
have all these different personalities that you have to navigate. It just makes you sharp. It just keeps
Yeah.
you on your toes. You don't get complacent. It's fun every single day.
I I love that you said that, and I feel like it's often overlooked. But I sold years ago. I sold um, basically gym memberships. It was an athletic club, but it was to a very affluent client base.
Hmm.
And I studied everything. I studied clothing, fabric, stitches, watches, shoes, bags. And when somebody walked in, I had to do a quick cold read.
Yes.
And hey, that's a really nice. And I remember this. There was a gentleman came in. I was like, "That's a really nice Bell and Ross watch." And then he like literally stopped and paused, and he's like, "Wow." And then we went on this conversation about how Bell and Ross made all the gauges for the World War planes. And there was like this rich history, and he was really attracted to it because of his grandfather and instant connection. And I 100% agree with you. There's the the ability to get in there and just pick up these conversations,
Hmm.
because if people are especially wearing these things, it's important to them,
Right.
and they know a lot about it.
Hmm.
And like if you're interested in watches, the only other people interested in watches are watch collectors.
Exactly.
And as soon as you speak their language, they're like a friend.
A
Like
friend, someone who understands me.
exactly. It's like, oh, we're instantly
Yeah.
on
Connected.
this different level.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um
And that's
it,
invaluable.
it
That's
totally is.
invaluable because I look at agents who want to be, every agent wants to be in the luxury space, right? I want to sell a luxury apartment. Well, who doesn't? But
Yeah.
it's work to get there, right? You
It's
have to
work.
know, like you were saying, the fabrics, the jewelry, the the designers,
Yeah.
the glass manufacturer, every aspect of luxury. Where do they go on vacation? Where do they go? What country clubs are they at? What shows are they attending? What books are they reading? What newspapers are
Yeah.
they reading? You have to be in tune to all of that. You need to talk about Bloomberg. You need to have a subscription to Wall Street Journal. These are things that you need to do. You need to watch CNBC. You just
Yes.
can't sit there and watch reality TV and think,
Yeah.
I'm going to be a luxury agent. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. And it just with luxury, it's nuanced.
Yeah.
In like we all know, parents will do anything for their kids. So it's then nuanced. What are the differences between these two preschools?
Right.
What are How is that going to be a different experience living in this one neighborhood versus that one for
Hmm.
that preschool to go to the next school? And how's that going to tee them up for college in the future? And there has to be a totally different.
And who makes that chandelier that's in that house? What kind of marble is that in the kitchen? What
Yes.
All of those things make a difference. Who was the lamp?
And the fascinating part is you just have to study the hell out of it, and you don't know when it's going to make a difference until it makes a difference.
Right. Right.
Like, yeah, you just don't know into like, and it's weird. It just when it clicks because
Hmm.
it's interesting too. I had a conversation with an agent the other day who's very much in the luxury category. Most of her properties are north of 12 million.
Hmm.
And it was interesting because the conversation was you almost have to class switch.
Right.
You literally have to learn everything about what they have access to having this high net worth, even though they're not necessarily flaunting it, because there is a newer trend that health is the new luxury,
Hmm.
but or there's the quiet luxury
Quiet
where they're
luxury.
not,
It's not
it's more
flashy.
subtle.
Hmm.
It's not flat. It's not the 80s luxury
Right.
of gold and just everything big and over the top, and
Hmm.
it's quieter. And so also then noticing the quieter and
Hmm.
uh it's it's an art. I mean,
It's an art. It is an art form, and it takes a while to study it.
it
It
does.
takes a while to know. But it's fun. It is fun to know.
It is fun. Yeah, and I mean, if you just kind of flip it around in your own life, those little things are those things that make you happy,
Yeah.
that you have, that you've worked hard to acquire. And when somebody then acknowledges
Right.
it for you, how you then feel, it's the same gift that you're giving back to
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
And it's developing that. Yeah, but I think with regards to the luxury and agent wanting to get into it, you have to fully commit to
Yeah.
getting into it
Yeah.
in every aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like not it's goes far beyond knowing just the property. It's that client base and also what's important to them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
now understanding anonymity and confidentiality
Hmm.
and pre-framing that all up front
Yeah.
as to you're not going to share their information
Right.
even if
Exactly.
your arm's being twisted.
Exactly. No water torture here. But
Uh,
that's the beauty of this job, I think. It's like every day is different and there are always opportunities to learn. And
yeah,
once you stop wanting to learn, it's all your career is over.
it's
Your,
so
your
true.
career is over. This is just a fun job. I hope every agent is just the agents get so stressed and wrapped up, and I'm like, but just step back and look at how much fun you have every single day.
Yeah. I mean, it's always perspective, right?
It's
It's
always perspective, but we meet some of the coolest people ever.
uh, yeah, I mean, all
Yeah,
walks of life. And
yes. They
I
have
mean,
great
and I'm in a
stories.
city. And so it's like, who knows who someone else is
Exactly.
connected to, went to college with, who's
Right.
cousins. It's like,
Yeah.
I
It's like,
sold, I sold a studio, a micro studio condo for like $500,000.
hmm,
And they referred me an executive at a
wow.
company who shopped for a property just shy of 4 million.
Hmm,
And it's like you never know. You don't know who's connected to who
right.
or the why or I don't know. That's to your point. That's the part that
And
like
and
that
that's
just
why you give
excites me.
every client at every price point a luxury experience. No matter the
Yeah.
price point, you always treat them how you want to be treated,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's just a great opportunity to just, I think people are just fascinating anyway. And
Yeah.
just to get to know different people and how they operate and how they make decisions. And I love working with couples because it's like, are they on the same page? Are they, doing different things? And sometimes you have to, I always say, come to Jesus because you guys are not on the same page. And so we're never going to find what you want, but let's talk about it, right?
Yeah.
And you're like a therapist. You're like,
100%.
and you are there just looking at everything, and but you have to be into people
Yeah.
to really do your job well. If you're just looking at it for money, you're not going to last long. You're going to be a transactional kind of agent, not a
Yeah.
relationship agent. And I think the most successful agents are those who build those relationships and build
Yeah.
that referral based business.
I agree. I mean, I think if you just look at stats, is it's something crazy like 87% of buyers and sellers say they'll use the same agent again, but only 13% do.
Right.
It's the huge drop off is to your point, those are transactional agents. They didn't keep
Mhm.
in relationship with the person.
Right.
It's
Right.
literally that simple. Like
Right.
if you're not staying in contact with somebody as their friend, as
Right.
their connector,
Yeah.
they're never going to think of you again. They're
Right.
just you and them are going to just drift apart and say la
Right.
vie.
And it's so easy to stay in touch with people because I genuinely love people, and
Yeah.
I always
It
say
comes across.
thanks. I would just I say I only work with people I like, and that makes my job a lot easier. I had this guy call me back on the day they had call-ins and floor duty, and we agreed to meet at a location. And he says, "Well, just so you know, I'm interviewing several agents." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, just so you know, I'm interviewing you as well, because
I love it. Turn the
and,
tables.
and I said, and I only work with people I like." And he says, "Oh, you'll like me." I said, "We'll see." And I love because he was trying to take the control from me. I'm like, "You don't
Yeah.
understand how I work.
Yeah.
All money is not good money. And so you may not be good money. And so when we meet, I will determine if you're good money or not."
It's true.
And so we ended up working together. I sold him like two houses, but it was just so funny how he tried to take control. I'm like, no, no, no. Mm-mm. You don't
Even
control this
that's a
thing.
whole psychological game
It
of people
was, right.
trying to one up each other and
Exactly. And it was so
um,
funny. I wasn't even trying. I'm just like, dude, you're a floor call. You're not in my budget. You're not in my plan. You're gravy. So
yeah,
if I get you, I get you. If I don't, I've lost nothing. So don't act like I need you.
yeah.
And I
It
think when you come across as I don't need it,
Yeah.
It's like you don't have that commission breath kind of thing. It's like, well, let me see if I can help you.
There is a paradigm shift when you're the prize and
Yeah,
they're not the prize.
yeah.
You view it
I
from a
like that. I
different,
like being the prize.
right?
Yeah,
You're the prize. You're an amazing agent. It's an
yeah.
honor and privilege for them to be able to hire you. And the way that I flip it is I tell people that depending on where I am with my business at that time, I'll say something like I can only work with 8 buyers at any one time because everybody needs my devoted attention. And if I work with more than that, things start to fall apart. So I do that to control the experience of each of my clients. I have one spot opened up. So this is a conversation to see if we'd be a good fit for us working together.
Nice.
And it completely, to your point, it flips it on its head of like, oh shit, I got to be in my best behavior because
Right.
I want to work with them. I mean, it's not, if you just look at different, if you, let's say you blew out your back
Hmm.
and you called a chiropractor and you're like, listen, I just screwed up my back. I need an appointment. And they're like, um, I have a 4 o'clock. And you're like, I'm really sorry. I'm too far. I can't make 4. And they're like, you know what? We'll stay late. Just come. I'll stay late.
Hmm.
What, can you get here at 7? And you're like, wow, that's so desperate. But then you call the other chiropractor and like, sorry, I'm booked out for the next 8 months.
Right.
Did you want to go on the wait list? And it's like there's a whole different, and that person you're probably gonna be like, listen, I can't wait that long, but do you have somebody you'd recommend?
Right.
Because clearly you're doing something amazingly right and
Hmm.
successfully.
Hmm.
And then I want to know who you go to. Who do you go to when you hurt your back?
Right. Right.
And like that's who you want. You don't want the person who's like
Right. It was wide open.
wide open begging. Like even if I have nothing planned that day, I'm sorry, I'm all booked up.
Oh, same
Tomorrow's a
here.
little
Same. I
tight.
was the same way.
It's
I used,
it's
I used to have. I say if I would tell buyers if you want to see properties on the weekend, you need to call me by Thursday, right? And so if someone called me on Friday and say, can we see this property on Saturday? I'm like, let me check. I have to check my schedule. Now there is nothing on the schedule for Saturday. Absolutely nothing. I have just had candy time all over the place, right? And then I call them back. I say, I was able to rearrange some things. Like I'm just rearranging things in my head. Like,
yeah,
okay, I'm going to deal with the client. So I'm going to rearrange. And now they're eternally grateful.
yeah.
But you
It's
can't just be too available. You just
it's true.
can't because then you establish a habit that
Yeah,
they can always call you at the last minute and you're going to be available.
yeah.
And you don't want to do that.
You know, it's not to beat the drum, but it goes back to your point of setting expectations.
Yeah.
Of if a client texts you at 10 o'clock at night and you respond immediately, you just open the floodgate.
Yes, you did.
They're going to be texting you at 11 and
Yep.
12.
Yep.
I will just straight up tell clients, unless something's burning down, I don't respond in the evening. I go to bed by 9
Hmm.
and I will not respond during dinner. That's my
Yeah.
family's time. And everybody respects that. And,
Yeah.
you
Because
know,
you
with
told me what to expect.
and the caveat is unless something's burning down. If we're writing offers, of
If we're in
course I'm going to be
negotiation. Right.
like, of course I'm going to be
Right.
available.
Right.
And,
Right. I do
but you,
something very similar. I tell everybody my phone goes off at 6:30. If you call
yeah,
me, text me, email me, I'm not going to be available because unless we're in negotiation, which
yeah,
is an exception, then not going to be available. But I always tell agents when I'm training them, you live in the land of exceptions. You make everything an exception, right?
yeah,
You can't do something because, oh, I might have a home inspection. I may have to meet the appraiser. You're not doing that every day. Stop it. Stop
it's
it.
true.
Stop fooling yourself, right? You live in the land of exceptions. Put together a schedule that you can follow. And then when you
Yeah,
have to make exceptions, make exceptions.
yeah. You make a great point. I feel like agents are really bad at just having like Mondays are these are the things that I do.
Right.
Tuesday, these are the things that I do. And what I did early on with my schedule, I'm not saying that it's right, but I pre-put in these are buyer consultation blocks.
Yeah.
And so I know in advance if somebody calls for a buyer's consultation, I have a spot on this day from here to here. I have this day's available from here to here. Do either of those work for you, or did you want to look at a weekend? And
Mhm.
it's clean, it's organized.
Yeah.
Granted, I want to work with clients who are organized because they tend to get stuff done. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to work with clients who are organized, be haphazard. You'll attract haphazard.
Well, you kind of attract who you are, so it's it's one of those things. But
Yeah.
one of my favorite lines I used to use in my buyer consult, I would say, you may need to go into work late, extend your lunch hour, or
Yeah.
leave work early to see a property because we can't always wait for the weekend, right?
Yeah.
And so they'd be like, "Oh, okay, okay." But what I just did was I put them 9 to 5.
It's true.
And so I freed up my weekend. I wasn't going to work every weekend. That wasn't my plan. So now
Yeah.
since you want to buy a house, so now if a property comes on, you have to go into work late. You have to extend your lunch hour. You have to leave work early. Okay? We're good.
There's so many gold nuggets throughout this whole conversation. I feel like you and I can just do an entire one on setting expectations at all these different thresholds because I think it's so incredibly important, especially when you're new to establish these good habits. And if you're not new and you're feeling a little frantic,
Yeah,
start putting some structure in and letting your clients know that there's a new structure and they'll follow.
yeah, they will.
Um, they think whatever is happening is normal.
Right. And what real estate agents have done is like, I'm a, I the line I hate more than anything. Call me anytime. No, you
Yeah,
don't mean that. You don't even mean it.
yeah,
Because you're putting expectations really high because if a client calls you on a Saturday night at 11:30 and you don't answer, guess what? You're the bad guy because
yeah,
you told me I could call you anytime, Sean, and you didn't pick up the phone when I called. Now I'm
yeah,
mad at you. You're not doing a
yeah,
good job, right? So stop saying that. Just
yeah.
stop saying that.
It's kind of like the manager who says, "My door's always open." Then they go in their office and close the
Close
door.
the door, right?
like,
It's
wait
the
a
same.
second, that's not congruent.
It's like, is your door always open? No, I think it's always closed. But I just think that when we get into this business, we think that you have to work 24/7.
That's
And I'm just not that girl. I was never that girl. I said,
nor was
used to
I.
call myself the unrealtor because I wasn't gonna do any of that kind of stuff. I was just gonna run it the way I wanted to run it and work with
Yeah.
people I wanted to work with and do things my way. And it panned out.
It's funny not to bring up Lance again, but his line, and when people ask him, "What do you do?" He always says, "I'm the guy you call when you don't want to work with a realtor."
Oh, that's interesting.
And
That
exactly, and immediately like, what does that
is
mean?
what does that mean?
And
Right.
it
Right.
opens a little intrigue, and
Yeah.
then he talks about how he's a Sherpa and an advisor and guides these
Yeah.
people to where they want to go.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, I think it's interesting. You make a fascinating point of I think it's twofold. It's like, where do you see yourself, and do you want to be the one who hustles and works 24/7 and never sleeps or sees their family and doesn't have time to actually enjoy the money they're making? And the other part is, are you congruent with your words with what you're doing?
Yeah.
Do they match?
Yeah.
Like if you're saying you're hustling but you're not, or
Yeah.
you're not and you are, it's like, is there do you have synergy? Are you balanced
Yeah.
of that?
And they're truly
Um,
not balanced. They usually aren't. They usually
no,
aren't.
I think balance, the whole life work balance, I think it's BS. It doesn't exist.
But it
I
does
think
exist.
I don't
Um,
think it does. I'm going to push back.
I'm going to
I
push
mean,
back on you because I don't think being a real estate agent is an 8 hour day job.
I, I'll just pause for a quick a second. I just think everything is in constant state of imbalance, and
Hmm.
so we're constantly working to prioritize
Hmm.
because sometimes, like if you just look at the different quadrants of your life, sometimes you need to put a bigger focus on your health. Sometimes you need to put a bigger focus on your work and finances. Sometimes you need to focus more on your kids.
Hmm.
And when you focus more on that thing, you tend to not focus on the other things.
Hmm.
And so we're constantly having to reallocate time.
Hmm.
And so to have perfect symmetry, I think is an illusion. It sets us up for a failure because we're then striving for success that just simply can't exist
Hmm.
because everything's constantly moving,
Hmm.
everything. And you can get into an accident tomorrow and now your health is your priority and
Sure, sure.
the balance then has to it just has to change.
Hmm.
And so I think I'm passionate about it because I feel like it's one of those things that puts so much pressure on us
Hmm.
that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
It's if you're working the hours that you want to work, awesome. Keep doing it and
Hmm.
have fun. And
Hmm.
if you're also able to get to the gym and eat healthy and spend time with your loved ones and all of that feels good, kudos, run with that as hard as you can.
Yeah.
But if you're regretting not spending enough, not going to your kid's little league game or
Hmm.
your the ballet recital, then that's not balance, and you need to figure out how to allocate to go do that thing.
Hmm.
And so that's what I
Yeah.
the spirit behind it.
Yeah, I think it all stems from what your definition of success is. And a lot of times
100%.
we don't even define what that means to us. And
Yeah,
so uh, we've been trained that success means financial. And that's not always the case,
it's
right?
not.
When I got into real estate, I got into real estate because of my children. My children were young, and I
Yeah,
went my previous job, I had to travel a lot. So I wanted to spend more time with them.
yeah,
And so it wasn't monetary. Money is good, but I wanted to be with my kids. I wanted to be the mom who went to the soccer games, who
yeah.
volunteered in the classroom, who did the field trips, right? And I will never forget this. My middle child finished his last soccer game and he ran off the field and he hugged me and he said, "Mom, do you know you didn't miss not one soccer game?" Now I knew that.
Yeah,
I didn't know he knew it, right? So in my mind, that first year in real estate, I was a huge success
yeah,
because that's what I wanted. And
yeah,
so I think we have to really think about what success means to us and
100%.
then strive for that. And don't be influenced by what that person over there thinks success
Yeah,
is or what you think success should be. What is it you want for your life?
yeah,
And then structure your life around it. And that's how I know you can achieve that balance because once you know what you want, you're going to automatically put systems in place to
yeah.
get there.
It's
And so
so
that's why
true.
that's why I was saying I didn't work every weekend. I I would tell people on our bio consult, the first time we go out, we're going to see 10 properties. We'll never see that many ever again, right? Because now we're seeing the whole universe, and from this point on, we're going to see what comes up that fits your description, that everything that you need, and that may be one a week, maybe.
Yeah,
And that's when you have to see it. What? Before you go into work, extend your lunch hour, or leave work early. So I'm putting you in the 9 to 5 box.
yeah,
And so I'm freeing up my time by letting you know my expectations. And so that's how, and I think real estate, we're trained in America, at least, that we have to work 8 hours.
yeah.
And what we do is we dilly dally for 3 or 4 hours and then we stretch it out so it's eight. If
So
you,
true.
because, Parkinson's law is activities expand to the time you give them,
True.
right? And so if me, I had a hard stop at 3:15 when school was out. So I had to get it, I had to get it in. And
Yeah,
so you get it in. But when you have all day to do something, it's going to take all day. When you have two
it's true.
hours to do it, it's going to take 2 hours. And so
Yeah,
if we work when we really say we're going to work,
yeah,
you can do it. And then so you're passionate, I'm passionate, and it's just like, I believe it, you believe it. So
yeah,
everybody has to find what works for them, but don't fool yourself into
yeah,
thinking you don't have enough time because we all make time for things we want to do,
yeah,
right? And so if you really want something bad enough, you're going to tighten up another area so you can do this over here.
yeah.
But don't think you have to work 8 hours a day. Again, we live in the world of exceptions. Some days it will be 8 hours jam packed. Other days it's going to be three.
It's true.
But
Yeah,
don't stretch that three into eight and think, oh my gosh, I worked all day. No, you didn't.
yeah. You were on social media for 3 hours.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's call it what it is. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's why we got into this job. So we'd have that flexibility. But you have to be honest with yourself.
I agree. I'm on the same page. I think you always should have a hard conversation with yourself and don't make it worse than it is. Don't make it better than it is. Just be
Yeah.
honest with yourself with
Yeah.
how it is. But I want to go back and I want to say that how huge it is for your son to recognize that you were there at all his games. Like from a kid's perspective in their universe, that's
Yeah.
so incredibly important
He was like
for,
in first grade.
which is huge because
Huge.
that's like the first, like, as a first grader, how monumental that is because that was on his mind. Like,
Yeah.
it's usually like playing and cookies and going to the park. It's like that's, so I just, it's amazing that you did that for him, and that's such a beautiful gift. Um, and and the other thing too that I kind of want to expand on what you said is, and this is like one of my frustrating things when people say, "Oh, I can't make time to do that." Well, it's like such a bullshit statement because you can't make time. You're not God, and so you're just not allocating time.
Right.
And so you can allocate time to go to all the soccer games. You can allocate time to sit with your clients. You can
Mhm.
allocate time to go to the gym. It's just we don't. To your point, we're not honest with ourselves, and we don't allocate the time.
Right.
And so then we make an excuse of, oh, I just can't make time. I'm too busy. And you're like, really? Really? How many episodes did you watch last night?
Yeah.
Just four. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to my daughter would tease me recently because when they were, little and whatnot, she says, "Mom, when did you find time to exercise?" And I said, "When you guys went to bed and it was just me and Jay Leno." I would just turn on the Tonight Show and I would exercise. She says, "That late?" I said, "That's the time I had."
Yeah, that's what you had.
So if it's
It's
important to you, you'll make time for things you want to do.
I call that net time, no extra time. And so it's or I'll call it car university. So I'll double
Uh-huh.
down. And
Yeah,
so like when I'm working out, that's usually when I listen to an audiobook. So I
sure.
can do two things at
Absolutely.
one time, or car
Absolutely.
university, listen to
Absolutely.
podcasts and educate
Absolutely.
myself, learn
Absolutely.
about the luxury sector or whatever it is. Or to your
Yeah.
point, have
Yeah.
some entertainment, make your
Yeah.
workout fun, like get some laughs in with Leno
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and and get it
And
done.
get it done. But
Yeah.
what I'm not going to do is say I didn't have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think again, if you're honest with yourself, we will make up stories as to like, did you touch base with one past client today?
Right.
I couldn't find time. Really? You
Right.
couldn't allocate 5 minutes to 1 minute to
Right.
write a text?
Right.
Hey, you crossed my mind and I just wanted to say hi.
Right.
How much time would that take to text? Like most people, it's just priorities.
Yeah. And I dislike the word busy. I tried to stop using that a couple years ago because when
Mm.
people say they're busy, I'm like, what are you busy doing? Tell me what you're busy doing. Because I don't get it. Because you have no business. So what are you busy?
Call a spade a spade. Like, let's just, yeah.
What are you doing?
You're not in escrow, so what's busy?
What's busy? What's busy? And they try to lay it out. I'm like, that's 2 hours of work. What are you doing the rest of the day? That's
Yeah.
22 more hours you have.
I had a coach who this literally screwed me up. Like it grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me. But I started working with her, very expensive, by the way.
Hmm.
And the very first task she gave me was get a notebook and every 15 minutes, set a timer. Every 15 minutes, when the timer goes off, write down the task you're doing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You'll be
I've done that.
shocked.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
It's the most painful thing outside of a food journal you can do.
100%. Yes. Yeah. Clearly, you're in the fitness world at some point. The food journal is like
Ugh.
every time you put something in your mouth, you have
Uh,
to write it down. It's so tight.
it's like I'm
But
not gonna eat it. I'm just not gonna eat it.
yeah, exactly. You're like,
I don't want a
I
record of
just,
that I ate this. I don't want a record of that. So,
and
but
it's
yeah, when you have to track,
wild.
because I asked agents to track their time for a week. I say you're only gonna last this exercise maybe 2 days, but I would like for you
Maybe.
to do it for a week, maybe 2 days. That's painful.
It's painful, but it's also incredibly eye-opening
Yes, it is.
when you have to literally stop what you're doing and write down the activity.
Yeah.
And then what I did with her is then go back and write a dollar sign next to all those activities that were income producing. Painful.
Painful.
It was gutting at how honest I had to be with where I was putting my time and
Yeah.
the frivolous use of it.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
it was kind of like, sometimes you just need a lot of pain in that category to
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
that, oh, I need to. It's kind of like when you have a heart attack, you then immediately start working out and
Hmm.
eating properly. Like you need that thing
Yeah.
that's so bigger than you to stop you in your tracks and be like, okay, I have to go in this direction now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those things that's
Yeah.
like, oof, okay, heard.
Yeah.
I'm doing this thing now.
It's like you got my attention. Okay.
Yeah,
I have more time than I thought. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, making it's a different experience.
But
Candy,
I
listen,
think it's important that to revisit those things periodically because we do lapse. We do
we
have
do.
those lapses, and we're like, okay, I'm so busy, but you're not that busy. And I always told my kids, I say, we have choices to make every single day. I said, choose
Yeah,
wisely.
yeah,
Choose wisely, because everything we do is a choice, except dying. That's the only thing.
yeah. It's fascinating too. I recently heard that basically, if you have clarity on your goal, you specifically know what you're doing.
Hmm.
And then every day, hell or high water, you did three things to work towards that one specific goal,
Hmm.
you'll achieve it. The problem is we usually add 15 things to the list.
Right,
We do 12 that don't move us towards the goal.
right.
And we don't do those three. And those people, love them or hate them, like Elon Musk, are so hyper focused on doing that one
Hmm.
thing towards that goal that they just gain massive success. And there's only very few people in the world
Yeah,
who are able to say no to everything that doesn't pertain specifically to the
yeah.
goal
That's hard.
that gets them there. But if you just keep simple goals and you just make sure you're working towards it.
Yeah.
And I think too with real estate, I think there's also it needs I think the paradigm shift is away from closing deals. Get that out of your head.
Hmm.
It's at the end of the day, we're in a people business, so it's building relationships. So if the goal is then let me just nurture a relationship
Hmm.
and let me nurture three. Three is not hard.
Right,
Like it's not hard.
right,
And do it in a meaningful way, a unique and meaningful way.
right.
It's actually pretty easy. And not for nothing, but we all know referrals are the easiest place to go. And
Absolutely.
like they're the by far the easiest. And so just nurturing relationships with our past clients is that's where all your money and success is
Low
going to be
hanging
found.
fruit.
It is so low. And I can't tell you how many people just don't go back and
Right,
say hi. Hey, you know what? The season's changing, and you should, if you haven't done it in a while, now's a good time to get a roof inspection.
right,
If you need a recommendation, let me know. I'm happy to share my favorites with you.
right.
There's no sale pitch. It's
Not that
just,
hard.
it's goodwill.
But like we talked about earlier, they overthink it.
It's
I have to,
true.
I have to spend thousands of dollars to keep their attention. No, you don't.
No,
Just
yeah.
show that you care.
That's it.
That costs you nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I heard years ago, and I've always loved this one, is treat every client like your mom and a celebrity.
Ah,
Right. And if you kind of marry the two, like if
yeah.
your mom calls and asks you for advice, you're of course going to give her the absolute best advice possible
Hmm.
because she's your mom.
Hmm.
And if the celebrity calls, you're going to stop what you're doing and you're going to cater to them and make sure that they sing your praises.
Hmm.
And and so if you just view every past client as your mom
Yeah.
and a celebrity and you approach them with service, it's not going to put you in a bad direction. It can't. It's like it's an
Yeah.
impossibility.
Yeah. Love that advice. Words of wisdom, Sean.
Candy, this is I thoroughly enjoyed our this chat with you. It's
Me, the
just been
time
so
just flew.
fun. It really did. We actually went overtime, and
Okay.
I didn't realize it, but it was just so engaging, and so I genuinely I appreciate you for that.
Well, thanks for having me. This was so much fun. Just
Thank you.
being very candid about an industry that I love.
Same. You know, in the spirit of this podcast, and in the words of JFK, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Amen to that. and and as Robert Refkin said, no one succeeds on their own.
It's that is also very true, and
Exactly.
you'll
We all
never have
need
a deal without a client, and so you're
exactly.
not going to succeed alone.
No one succeeds alone. No one.